Vayechi, for the fourth reading. This is coming to the end of the book of Vayechi, Genesis. And we're coming down to Yaakov on his deathbed to give blessings to the 12 tribes of Israel. Let's get right into it. Vayikra Yaakov el Banov, and Yaakov called to his sons, Vayomer, and he said, Hey, Osvu, gather. Vagida, and I will tell you, lochem, to you, as Asher Yikra, that which will happen, will befall, eschem, to you, meaning to your descendants, ba'achris hayamim, at the end of days. Ooh. Rashi, Agida lochem, I will tell you. Bikesh legalos sekate. Yaakov wanted to reveal the end game to his children. But the Shechina, the divine presence of God, departed from him. And he started to say other things. Right? Because we see that he doesn't say this, what he just said. Right? Look at the next verse. And the next verse is verse number 2. Hikovtsu, gather, Eshimu, and listen, Bnei Yaakov, the sons of Yaakov, Eshimu al Israel, and listen to Israel, Avichem, your father. Okay, now he begins with the blessings. Verse number 3, Ruvain, B'choiri, you're my firstborn, Ata, you. Kechi, my power, my strength. Vayechi Saini, and the first of my vigor. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Always greater in raising and greater in might. Rashi. Okay, a lot of this is cryptic, so let's follow. 40 of verse 3. Vayechi Saini, you're the first of my vigor. Hiti Parishayna Shaloi means the first drop of seed. Because he never had a seminal emission during his lifetime, and the first emission was the conception of Ruvain, his firstborn. Oini means my bigger, kaichi, my strength. Oinli, right? This is a term that we haven't had till now. So Rashi's explaining. Found myself strength. From the abundance of strength, and to the powerless. Right, just showing that the word means strength, power. Yes, there's a greater by raising. Roy, you were fitly to be greater than your brothers. Meaning by priesthood. That's word se'es, like Nesias Kapayim. Lashon Nesias Kapayim, like raising one's palms, right? Which that's what the Kohanim do. They raise, when they give a blessing, they raise their palms, right? So that's the term, huh? We know because that's what it says to do. Not because we watch, because the Torah tells us, right? So the raising the palms. So here he was fitting to be the kohen, right? The firstborn, to be the priest. Yes, sir. Is greater by might, the malchus, might, referring to kingship. Then he would also get kingship. Might in as a malke, as we see the term ois, refers to kingship. And what caused him that he should lose all of these advantages over his brothers? After all, he is the firstborn, right? That will be the next verse. Leading, this verse leads into the next verse. Verse number 4. So what led to that was Pachas Kamayim You took haste like water. Bal Taisar. Do not take more. Don't add. Ki alisa mishkavi avicha, because you mounted your father's bed. This is referring to when he took out the bed, his bed, after Rachel passed away, Rachel passed away. He took his bed and brought it into Leah's tent, as opposed to in Bilhah's, where he had it. So he got involved in something that was not of his, as we know. Then you desecrated God, whom ascended my couch. Rashi, number 4. Following?
Can you scroll up, Rabbi?
Yeah, doing that right now. Thank you. Okay. Rashi Pachas Kamayim, you haste like water. Hapachas ba'abala, the haste and the confusion, Hashem miharta, that you hurried, lahadris ka'ascha, to show your anger. Right? He was angry that his father, didn't place his bed by Leah after Rachel passed away. He was upset. Kemaim halalu, like these waters, that hurry in their flow. Nekach al teisa. Therefore, do not take more. In other words, you're not getting the extra of being the firstborn. Right? Al tar b'litel, you're not going to take on the grand scale. Al yisirus alalu, on these additional advantages that were actually fitting for you because you're the firstborn. And what was the haste that you acted hastily? So the verse continues. Rashi explains, because you mounted your father's bed. Then you desecrated because of that. That one, meaning God, who ascends upon my couch, the Shekhinah, meaning the divine presence, which was his custom, that it would send them over my couch. In other words, God's presence was on my couch, and therefore you had no business to tamper with it and to take it from where it was. Rashi continues, pachas. Where pachas, haste, shem davarhu. It's a noun. The fikach tam l'mayla, that's why its accent is above. The kula nakud patach, and it's vowelized with a patach. It's the ilo haya lashon avar. If it was a verb in the past tense, haya nakud chetziu kamatz v'chetziu patach, then it would be half vowelized as a kamatz and half of the patach. The tam l'mata, and its accent would be below. Okay, yitzua, my couch. Lashon mishkav, it's a term of something to lie on. Al shem shematzim, I say, on that you put a spread over it. Ayedei levadim, through felt covers, usadinim, and sheets. V'harbe deimelai, and there are many similar words in the Torah like this. Im zecharticha al yitzuya. Yeah, and when I remember you upon my couch. The verse in Psalms, in Tehillim. Im ela eretz yitzua. Another verse in, if you ascend the couch of my bed. Okay, just showing that it means a couch. Okay, so that was it for Ruvain, right? Ruvain lost the firstborn rights, which included being a kohen, the priest, and being a king. Okay, verse number 5. You go to next. Shimon and Levi. Shimon and Levi together. Achim, your brothers. Clay Chamas. You have a stolen tools. Mecharei Sehem are your weapons. Let's see Rashi. What's going on here? First of all, I put Shimon and Levi together, right? Okay. Good morning. Shimon Lev, you're following? Verse number 5. Verse number 5, Rashi. Shimon v'Levi achim. Shimon and Levi, your brothers. What does that mean? Obviously, they're brothers. Thank you. We didn't know that till now. Obviously, they're brothers. So why is Yaakov saying that? It says, you came in one mind. Al Shechem, regarding Shechem. Val Yosef, and regarding Yosef. When a brother said to a brother, right? That was referring that Shimon spoke to Levi. Let us go and kill him. Right, concerning Yosef, and who are these? If you would say Ruvain, or Yehuda, that it was Ruvain or Yehuda, they did not agree in the killing of Yosef, so it can't be them. And if you would say Bnei Yashvachas, the verse doesn't say who's speaking, right? Rashi's just now making a deduction based on what we know. If you would say it was the maidservants of Bilin and Zilpah, they didn't have a complete hatred towards Yosef. Because he was, the verse actually says that he was a youth that together with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah. In other words, they got along. Right? They would not have spoken. In other words, they were younger. They would not have proposed any form of action in the presence of their brothers that are older than them. Therefore, we're forced to say Shimon and Levi. Then who is it? Shimon and Levi. And that is what the father is calling them, brothers. In other words, they're brothers that come together with the same plan, if you will, plan together as brothers. Clay Hamas, stolen tools. Hamas, right? Means stolen. Zui Ritzicha. What's the craft that they stole? They stole it directly from Hamas. Murder, right? Because that's what they did. They murdered it. They murdered it in Shechem. That's something they stole. In other words, it's not their thing. Hamas, it was a theft in their hands. Esav Hizu. This is from the blessing of Esav, the Yaakov, and Yaakov is admonishing them. They took Esav's blessings. It's his craft. And you robbed it away from him. Sehem, their weapons, this means arms. And the word sword in Greek is mechoraya. Alternative explanation of what this word means, we just translated it as weapons. It means that in the land of their sojourns, Nagu Atzmam, they conducted themselves b'chli chamas, with tools of violence. Kamay mecharay sayich, it's sayich, like the word mecharay sayich means in the sojournings and the birthplace. That's how Unclus translates it. In other words, in their sojournings, they use the tools of violence. Interesting.
This is still Shimon and Levi.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Okay. Verse number 6. Besoidam, in their secret, meaning in their conspiracy, right? That's their secret, is their conspiracy. Al tavay nafshi, my soul will not enter. Bikahalam, in their congregation. Va'al teichad kvedi, and I will not be united with my honor in what they did, right? Right? Ki be'apam, because with their anger, with their rage, hargu ish, they killed a man. V'ritzainam, and with their will, ikru shor, they uprooted an ox. That it refers to Yosef. Yosef is referred to as an ox here. We'll see. Let's see Rashi. Okay. Or a bull, actually. Okay. Number 6. In their design, in their conspiracy, my soul will not enter. Zimri, this is referring to what the incident of Zimri. Zimri was the story with the Midja after Bilam blessed the people, blessed the Jewish people. Bilam the prophet, right? When Balak, the king of Moab, hired him and he blessed the Jewish people. After he said, God doesn't like the Jewish people to get involved in illicit relations. So the Midianite women seduced men, and that was led by Zimri, who was the head of the tribe of Shimon. Right, so we're continuing with Zimri. So in other words, let not my soul go into their conspiracy. Rashi is saying this is referring to that incident that will be in the future of Zimri. Sheniskapsu Shivtei Shel Shimon, that when the tribe of Shimon gathered together to conspire, Lahavias and Mijanis, to bring the Midianite woman Lifnei Moshe before Moshe. V'amrullah, and they said to him, Zu Asura, is it one forbidden to take a wife, to be taken as a wife by a Jew? In other words, a Midianite woman, right? That's what they brought before Moshe. Or is she permitted? And if you're going to say that she's forbidden, Bas Yisra who permitted you that you should marry the daughter of Yisra? Also Midianite, right? That's where he came from, if you remember. He came from Midian when he came to he slew the Egyptian, left Egypt, went to Midian, married Tzipporah, who's the daughter of Yisrael, who was a Kohen Midian, who was a priest of Midian. You following me, folks? Anybody here? Anybody paying attention? Yeah? Right? And so now, how do you get to marry her? What do you think the answer is? Huh? The answer is very simple. He married her before the giving of the Torah, and this is after the giving of the Torah, right? But they were looking to, conspiracy theories, right? They're conspiring against him. So Yaakov is saying now on his deathbed, he knows what the future is going to be with. Don't mention my name regarding this matter. So the verse says, Zimri, the verse says, Zimri ben Salu, Zimri the son of Salu, Nasi base of Leshimoni, that he was a leader from the father's house of the Shimon, but it doesn't say Ben Yaakov, right? Doesn't say Ben Yaakov. Lekosa Ben Yaakov. Got it? In their congregation. Now this is something else, right? So he says, don't mention my name. That's the first thing in their conspiracy. Then says, Al techad kvedi, do not, I shouldn't be, my honor should not be united with the congregation. What is that referring to? So Rashi said, B'kahalam, that congregation, Sheyakitlu Kairach Shu Mishivta Shalevi. Kairach, who was from the tribe of Levi, right? Before it was Shimon, now it's Levi. When they will congregate, as Kol Eida, the entire assembly, Al Moshe V'Aaron, to go against Moshe V'Aaron. Thank you. Al Teichad Kavaidim, do not unite my honor there. Sham, Al Yisachar Imohim Shmi. Do not have my name mentioned there either. Whoa. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Shakom Varei.
Amen.
Chaim. So my name should not be mentioned there either. Korach ben Yitzhak ben Yaakov ben Levi, and the verse says, the beginning of Parshas Korach, Korach, the son of Yitzhak, the son of Kahos, the son of Levi. And who's the Levi, the son of? Yaakov, but it doesn't say there. Lo Nemar ben Yaakov, the son of Yaakov. Divrei Yayamim, but in Chronicles it says Yasku b'nei Korach al Duchan, when the lineage of the sons of Korach regarding service, right? Because they are on the platform to sing in the Holy Temple. Ne'emar, there it does say Ben Korach, Ben Yitzhak, Ben Kohos, Ben Levi, Ben Israel. Well, there it does say, but in the storyline, when it happened, it doesn't say. Okay. Al Techad Kavodi. Do not unite my honor. Kavod Lashon Zochar. The word kavod, honor, is a masculine form. Therefore, therefore you have to explain the words of Yaakov Medaber al kavod, that he's addressing the honor. He says, Ata kavedi, you my honor, al tizchad imayim, do not unite yourself with them. Kamay al techad itam bikvura, that you will not unite with them in burial. Okay. The ish, ki, the apai, harga ish, because with their anger they killed a man. This refers to Chamor, right? And the people of Shechem. Why does it mean they killed a man? It said they killed men. They didn't kill just one. So Rashi explains, because it was before them, there were no match for Shimon and Levi. They were considered like a single person in battle. And similar, we have a similar idea later on in Tanakh with Gideon. He says Midyan, that you shall smite Midian as a single man. Likewise in Egypt, it says, we say every day in Oz Yashir, in the Song of Songs, that a horse and a rider, he heaved into the sea, right? In other words, it was like one horseman that God had to deal with, not many, right? So this is just bringing out that we have other places, a similar idea that, considered as one. It was such an easy task. That's simple meaning. But now, that was the midrash. That was not the simple meaning of why it's in singular form, right? Rashi now, but the simple meaning, Rashi says, is anashim harbe ish. We have many times that the word men are called man. Kol echad latzmei, being that each one is viewed individually, be'apam, and individually. In other words, it means plural. Many times we say, in the singular, but it's a reference to the plural. Okay. In other words, it's the colloquial way of speaking, Okay. Ba'apam, in their rage, hargu, they killed. Kol ish, shikaso olam, every man who is angry. Similarly, and he learned to maul prey adam achal, and it would eat a man. Here also, it's singular man, but refers to a number of individuals. Just bringing another instance. But it's saying, and with their wish, they uprooted the ox. Ratzu Lakar is Yosef. They wanted to eliminate Yosef. Shenikra, sure, he's called an ox. Where do we get that? Shenamar, as it says, we're going to see that later on in Deuteronomy at the end, right? That he's called an ox. Bechor Shurah Hadalai, the chief of his ox, glory is his. Ikrai, in an old French, is jater. Lashon, it's the same to Aker. It's a term of uprooting the horses. Okay.
You said earlier that Yaakov was about to speak of the future, but then the divine presence left him. So then he couldn't speak of the future because it seems like he is speaking elements of the future.
Excellent question. Excellent question. Yeah. I don't have an answer. We have to look at the Rebbe Sichos. The future, that's future. The future that he was talking about was the end of times, and this is not the end of times. So there's a distinction. So, that's a simple explanation. The times of Mashiach, in other words. Yeah, there's a lot on here, but not right now. Okay, verse number 7. Oror, cursed, apam is their rage. He awes, for it is mighty. Bevrasam, and their wrath. He kashasa, for it is harsh. Chalkim be Yaakov. I'm going to divide them amongst Yaakov, meaning the Jewish people, in other words. Be'afitem be Israel, and I'm going to disperse them amongst Israel. In other words, Shimon and Levi, he's going to disperse them amongst the Jewish people, right? In other words, they shouldn't have this connection between each other, because that's going to lead, because of the anger that's in their soul, right, will lead them then to a craft that's not theirs, to steal a craft, right? Like we just learned. Okay. Rashi number 7. Orapa apam, cursed is their rage. Even at the time of rebuke, apam. What did he curse? Their anger. He didn't curse them. He cursed their anger. Okay.
What's the difference between cursing their anger and cursing them?
Well, I mean, I don't even understand how you ask that question. Are you your anger?
If I
Answer?
If I have anger,
That's not you.
Then that's a characteristic of me.
It's not you. It's the exception of you. It's not you.
So what?
The exception of you. It's not the real you. Is it the real you? Is anger the real person? No. Stay for Tanya. Stay for Tanya. Stay for
crime, but it wasn't really me. It was, I killed somebody. It wasn't really me. It was only my anger.
Once again, for that you're responsible for your anger. That's why he curses the anger, but he doesn't curse them.
Responsible for their anger?
Do you hear what I just said? I just said that they're responsible for their anger. That's why he curses their anger, but he doesn't curse them. He doesn't curse them. Right? You're living in a world that the way you act, that's who you are. That's not a Jewish way, right? Not for a Jew. For a Jew, that's not called a Jewish way, right? The way you act is the way you act. Okay, anyway, let's continue.
What's the Jewish way to?
You curse the anger, not the person.
Oh, so if I insult you, then you're going to essentially curse my insult, but now you're okay with me.
Of course. Otherwise, that's not Jewish.
Okay.
Okay. Do you say Shema before you go to sleep at night? Say the Ribbonei Shalom. Read it in English.
Do I have to speak louder? I don't have.
Well, the first prayer, the Shema at night, the Ribbonei Shalom, Master of the Universe, right? I hereby forgive. Read that and tell me what you read. Okay. Okay. Then you'll. Okay, even when he rebukes him, like he only curses their rage. That's what Bilam alluded to, and Bilam said, well, how can I curse when God doesn't curse them? Wow. And the Chal came to Yaakov. I'm going to divide them amongst Yaakov. I'm going to have to separate them one from another. Levi, that Levi should not be B'minyan Ashvatim. How am I going to separate it? He's not going to be one of the tribes, right? They're not going to get a portion of the land of Israel, the Levites. So they're going to be divided from one another. That's one explanation of what it means to separate the two. Alternatively, so you don't have not the poor, the scribes and the teachers of the young children, but from the tribe of Shimei. They were the scribes, they were the teachers, and they were poor. Because a teacher has to travel to where his students are. So therefore, they would travel all around. So therefore, they were not like in one place, and therefore they couldn't come together in bad advice, and that their anger should flare. The Shiftish Levi and the tribe of Levi also Yaakov made him that he would have to travel around to the threshing floors, Trumos to get their truma of in their tithes. But also Yaakov assigned Levi his scattering their covet in a respectable manner, in a more respectable manner that of Shimei. Shimon had to go around to go teach. So therefore they're scattered. Levi also was scattered. He had to go to get he had no land. So where did he get any produce? He would get the tithes. And he went to go and get the tithes. It just says that was more respectable than of Shimei. Not exactly clear on that. Why? Okay. Today's verse that we learned in Chassidus this morning. Okay, verse number 8. That good? All right. Yehuda. Now we go to Yehuda. Ata, you. Your brothers will acknowledge you. Yadcha, your hand, will be on the neck of your enemies, on the nape. They will bow down to you, b'nei avicha, the sons of your father. Rashi number 8. Yehuda, your brothers shall acknowledge you. Since Yaakov was rebuking the first ones, right? He rebuked Ruvain for his also anger, right? He rebuked Shimon and Levi now. Now comes the fourth one, Yehuda, right? So, Turim. So Yaakov rebuked the first ones with harsh terms. Yehuda started to move back. That he shouldn't get rebuked. Why? Tamar. Over the instance of Tamar, right? That he had relations with Tamar. Yaakov called him. In conciliatory words, Yehuda, right? That's his first words, right? The others, Well, he also calls them, but he calls them right away, Achim, your brothers, your brothers of trouble.
Your brother's what?
Brothers of trouble. Well, brothers, right? In conspiracy, right?
Huh.
So Yoda lo yatem kamoisim. You're not like them. Your hand will be on the nape of the enemy. B'yemei David, in the days of King David, this was fulfilled. That you have given my enemies by the nape, given them over to me by the nape. Bnei avicha, your father's sons, al shem shayom min Hashem harbe. Because we were from many wives, like Amar, he did not say bnei yimecha, from your mother's sons. Keder sha'amar Yitzchak, like Yitzchak said. Okay, fine. Number 9. Gur Aryeh. So literally means a young cub. Yehuda is Yehuda. Miterev b'nei Elisa. You raised yourself, my son, on prey. Kra ravatz. You crouched and lie down. Kari, like a lion. Kalavimi kamenu, and a fearsome lion who dare rouse you. Oh la la la. Let's see, Rashi. Gur Aryeh, a lion cub. Al David Nisnaba. This is a prophecy about King David. B'tchila Gur. At first, David was a cub. Shaul melech aleinu. Shaul was the king over us at that time, right? Ba'ata Isa ha'meisev as Israel, and you were the one who took Israel out to battle and brought them back into battle. Others, Saul was the king, Shaul was the king, and David led them into battle. Ula b'soif, and in the end, Aryeh, you became a lion. Shem emlichu aleihim, when the Israelites made you king over them, you became a lion, no longer a cub. Mazeo shetikum unkeles shilton ye nesheruya. This is what Unkeles translates. There will be an authority at the beginning, b'tchilosai. I don't know what it means there by the beginning. Okay. Miteref, from prey. Mima shadaticha, from that which I suspected you. Miteref Torah of Yosef, that which Yosef was surely been torn to bits. Chayarach, an evil beast would have devoured him. Zeu Yehuda. The evil beast is Yehuda. Shinim Shalar is compared to a lion. Okay. Not exactly clear on that. Okay, B'ni Alisa, my son, you ascended. What does that mean? Salakta is you withdrew yourself, Amart, and you said, Mabet, what gain will there be to kill our brother, right, and cover up his blood? Chemia Harigas, Tamar, likewise, you withdrew yourself from the killing of Tamar, right? He said, Tamar, she should go out to be killed. And then he withdrew when he realized that she was pregnant from him. Shahidu, he admitted, Saat Kamimene, that she was right more than he was. The Fika Kara Ravats. Therefore, he is blessed that he couched, that he crouched, he lay down, B'yemei Shleim, in the days of King Solomon, which is from the tribe of Yehuda. Ishtachas Gafnei, that people lived in security then, each person beneath his grapevine. Okay. Verse number 10. Continuing with Yehuda, L'yasser, it will not be removed, Shevet mi Yehuda, the scepter from Yehuda, U'mechaykek, the lawgiver, mi ben raglav, from between his feet, which means his descendants. Ad ki yavai Shilai, until Shilai comes, referring to Mashiach. V'lo yikaz amim, and before whom the nations will assemble. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Verse number 10 in Rashi, Lo yasu shevim Yehuda, the rod, the scepter shall not depart from Yehuda, mi David ve'elach. When is that? From King David onwards. Right? It won't be removed. In other words, once he is royal king, it will not be removed from him from henceforth. This also refers to the heads in the time of exile in Babylon. That they would dominate the people by a rod. They were appointed by royal authority. So even afterwards, they will be the leaders. Nor a lawgiver between his feet. Talmidim, students, Ela Neise Eretz Yisrael, these are the princes of the land of Israel. Aki Yavai Shiloi, until Shiloi arrives, Melech HaMashiach, that's King Mashiach. Sha'amlucha Shaloi, because the kingship is his. Like was Unkelis interpreted, that it refers to Mashiach, right? Midrash Agada, however, the Midrash explains, Shiloi is a word that means shy low, gift to him. Shenamar yavilu lo shy lameira, that he will deliver a gift. Okay. Deliver a gift to the revered one. Okay. Okay. V'lo yikat amim, and he will be an assembly of nations. Asefis ha'amim, gathering of nations. Shayud ikar shel yisoid, the yud is an essential element of the root. Okay, this is just grammar here. I'm just going to go quickly through. Okay. And let's go to 11. Sorry, that was just a lot of grammar.
So just in Hebrew, because in Hebrew, Shelo means to give. So
Remember, that was the Medrash, right? That was not the simple meaning. Right? It's taking the word shelo and making it into two words. Shy, lo. Shy means a gift, lo to him. That's not what it means. You don't take a word and separate it, make it into two words, right? That's medrash, not simple meaning. Why Rashi brings that, I don't know.
Saying it's referring to Mashiach because it's referring to someone who will be receiving gifts in the future.
He doesn't say that.
Because, yeah, it's
The
referring.
verse Mashiach, both, yeah.
It's pointing.
Yeah,
to
both are
the
pointing,
year
yeah.
76.
Yeah. Yeah, both allude to Mashiach. Yes, correct.
But wasn't there also a place where they established Shiloh?
Yeah.
They said it temporary.
Yeah, it was in Ephraim's territory, not in this. We're talking Yehuda now. So I don't know what the connection would be. I don't know. At least Rashi's not dealing with it. The Gemara, there's so many different layers and so many different perspectives and so on. So we gotta be careful that it's easy to get. Okay. Continuing. Wow. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? It's too much here. Not too much, God forbid.
No,
Uh-huh.
too much for time.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do this in what you call it, we'll do some Rambam and together with we'll finish Chumash Rashi. Now we have to go to Tanya.